Almost 3 years ago, I met this amazing individual. His name is Matt Brock. He lives in Denver, Colorado. He is a father of 2 daughters and a husband to a beautiful wife. Now, he literally changed my life. At the age of 35, he became legally blind due to a condition called retinitis pigmentosa, and which forced him to lose his career as a weatherman, a career that he really loved. Now, myself and Matt, we are good friends. We talk a lot about technology. We always think about there has to be a way to use technology for people to help people with vision loss, right? There has to be a way. One thing we figured was if he had to use technology to help people, he doesn't need help from the technology or people to think for him. What we need to do is think like a set of eyes, but not like a brain. He did not lose his brain. All he needs is visual access to the information, the things that he is missing because he's missing visual perception. No, as long as he has that information, he makes those informed decisions day in and day out. So fast forward 1 year, I'm standing with Matt, although I am 1,000 miles away, sitting in San Diego in front of computer. He is in his backyard. Now, I'm explaining him the green landscape as seen from his patio. I'm seeing his green landscape through a camera that is mounted on his glasses. Now, we started walking outside. I tell him about his lining up on the sidewalk, and I also tell him about a Lexus car that is parked in his driveway, which is obstructing his path. So we walk around him, and we walked 2 blocks. While he was walking 2 blocks, pretty much I'm describing everything that is going on in his surroundings and in his environment. Think about it. We are 1,000 miles away. We are talking to each other and acting as an individual and experiencing the world. So we figured the one challenge with the blindness, it is not about the vision loss. The challenge is immediate access to the information whenever and wherever they need it. Just think about it, right? You, me, everybody. Everybody is consuming data and information through visual screens and with your computer every day, with your eyes and with other senses. So according to Adam Gazzaley, humans exhibit this innate drive to forage for information. And there is, as much as animals seek to forage for food, right? So we need to somehow fulfill or satisfy this hunger or feed this hunger using modern technological advancement to make this information accessible. This is simple, but yet powerful fundamental theory on the basis of founding Ira. It's a startup company here in San Diego, actually literally 2 blocks away from here. And I'm excited to be here because I'm from UCSD as well. And I'm going to talk about 2 things today, which are really, really important for me and for our company. 1, visual perception, and then 2, auditory perception. So let's start with a simple example. I'm sure a lot of people may have heard this, right? Do not talk and drive. OK, now here is a question. How many people still do that anyway? Come on. It's OK, right? OK, how about this? Do not drive and text. It's dangerous, right? Driving and talking on phone and driving and texting on the phone is dangerous. How many people still do this anyway? Come on, he's laughing. That means you got to raise your hand. So what if I say they both are not as dangerous as we think? According to a study from Journal of Neuroscience in 2004, it does reinforce the fact that driving and talking on the phone is extremely dangerous. Now, however, a recent study from University of Utah says that there is little to no danger driving and talking on the phone as much as texting and driving. So what's happening in here, right? Most of us may have known what a visual cortex is, right? So visual cortex is that part of your brain that processes your visual information, right? So in case of driving and talking on the phone, you are using two sensory inputs. One, again, visual perception. Two, audio perception, right? Auditory perception. Um, Consider these two sensory inputs as an individual channel which has a finite amounts of bandwidth. When you are balancing this load across these two channels, you have less internal distraction, or you have less time to task switching, But whereas, if you think about driving and texting on the phone, which is an entirely different story, you are using one sensory input, in this case, visual input, right? So you are overloading that visual input, and basically you have this internal distraction, and that causes most of the issues. So the interesting part is our brain has this built-in ability to process two different streams of external information with two different sensory inputs. Historically, our brain has this ability to rewire information, or it's also called the Master of Adaptation. I'll give you an example. If I hold up, if I stand here and I will tell you that I'm holding up a remote in my left hand, you will have a mental picture. But however, I lift this thing and place in front of you, you will have the same mental picture. So you get the idea. And the idea of adapting is not new. I will give you an example for this one too. In 1930s, the general perception was, as a human, you won't be able to keep up with reaction, the attention and focus that is required to drive a car at a speed greater than 35 miles an hour. Now, that's obviously not true, right? Because we superhumans today, we drive our cars not only at a superior speeds, but we are having a conversation with our girlfriend on the phone, or we are fighting with somebody else sitting next to us, or even listening to that continuous stream of voice that is coming from your GPS iPhone. So, the sound perception is really important, and that's what we are going to double-click on a little bit. How many people think that they know all the features on your iPhone? I know everything. I'm sure a lot of people think about it as well. How many do you guys know a feature called VoiceOver on your iPhone? Anybody? Okay, that's good. There are a few hands. That's right. So VoiceOver is particularly designed for humans to be interacting with your phone without having to use the visual screens. Now, you can immediately think, oh, yeah, that's obvious. That is designed for blind and visually impaired people to be interacting with the phone. That's exactly true. However, think about Siri and think about Alexa. We are already introducing voice commands. We are asking questions, and you are getting feedback through auditory perception, right? You're not looking at the information in this case. Now, let's go a step further. What if I tell you, if you can use your auditory perception to interact with the physical world, right? So we are interacting with the physical world. Most of the time, we are using our visuals. But if every single piece of visual information is given to you in the auditory fashion, do you think we can actually create an alternate medium for interacting with the physical and digital world? Digital world is already happening. We already have Siri and Alexa. Well, if you had to ask me, I'm obviously going to say yes. There is so much of visual screen information that gets thrown at us today. So much that we are losing our capability to interact with the physical space. This is one of my favorite videos, and this will get the point across, because if you lost me till now, at least this video will get the point across.
In today's modern world, you can watch what you're doing, or you can watch where you're going, but you can't do both. And now, you don't have to, thanks to guiding hands. At Guiding Hands, we understand how important it is to stay connected when you're on the go. Simply request a guiding hand, and within seconds, we'll be at your side, ready to guide you to your destination. Let us navigate your world so you can navigate the web. Your guiding hand will take care of all the pesky distractions that once forced you to look up.
I crack up every time I see this video. I'm doing all these practices for the past day or two, and it's funny. This is from Conan O'Brien, by the way. You can YouTube it and you can look at it. Now, what is the point in here? The point in here is, it is a matter of time for us human beings, especially people who are young, where our visual information will be overloaded. And we need something else. We need to have a secondary sense for us to seek this information, which is already happening today. And that's exactly the concept that we double down on at IRA. The whole premises is we are creating a platform to convert any visual cues that exist today in the physical world or digital world into auditory cues. We are creating an alternate rich interaction platform for people to be interacting with their world. Now, think about where this will be useful, right? For blind and visually impaired people, that's what IRA is all about. We are augmenting their physical world. If you think about augmented reality, immediately a lot of folks in here who are out there thinking about heads-up displays and smart glasses may think that it's about augmenting your real world with information projected in front of you, right, in front of your eyes. Not necessarily, because if you have a closer look at the definition of augmented reality, it's anything live, direct, or indirect physical interaction with multiple sensory inputs. So it could be audio, video, or GPS, or even other sensors. So in a way, it is a computer-mediated reality. You are augmenting or fulfilling some other sensory information to interact with your physical world and with something that is computer-generated. Now, at IRA, we do or leverage this concept by connecting people who are blind and visually impaired people to our agents. And the agents can be humans or machines. And these agents or humans or these machines located anywhere in the world are providing that auditory feedback for a blind person to do literally anything. It's not just about reading or walking outside, literally anything. So I will play one video that will also give you a glimpse of how IRA works and how it is actually impacting people's life.
As blind people, I don't know for all blind people, but for me, it's scary, if you don't know where you're going.
Good morning, Angela. This is Emily.
Hello.
Well, we're currently headed towards the koi ponds. The path turns slightly to your left here.
Oh, okay.
And there are two girls sitting on the side of the koi pond ahead of you on the right-hand side. As you continue walking straight down this hallway, and there's a man with his guide dog walking towards you right now.
Okay, someone to the left. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
She explained to me, where I could understand, things like what she was doing and telling me things and how to go and what was there, in front of me and who was there. So she was very helpful. That's unique. It was amazing. Got tears in my eyes. Yeah. It was amazing. I was crying.
Sorry if you got a little bit emotional, but that's one person. And you can see how the impact of her having that remote guidance or that extra information was. Now let's think big picture. In the world, there are 1.2 billion disabled people. Do you guys know that's the size of China? Right? That's huge. Now we are focusing on 300 million people who are blind and visually impaired around the world. And because of baby boomers, this number is gonna be increasing a lot. Now, in addition to just the numbers, there is around more than $50 billion of economic loss due to vision loss just within the United States and in 1 year. So we got to solve that. Besides that, there seems to be a lot of assistive technology that exists in the industry today. There are a lot of apps that recognizes text and a lot of apps that recognizes color and so forth. But there isn't a comprehensive platform that provides a rich interaction for the blind person or information for the blind person to get up and go. Now, one of the challenges that I always ask people is, if the assistive technology that exists today is so good, why in the world there is 60% of blind and visually impaired people who are unemployed or underemployed? And that's where Aira comes into the picture, because we already are solving it by, with one of our users grabbing onto jobs. So with Aira, we will eliminate, or crush is the favorite word now, to remove any barriers that exist between a blind person to live the life they want on their terms, grab onto the jobs that they seek, and experience or enjoy the parks and entertainment like all of us do, and also increase the efficiency. In the process of doing that, our ultimate goal is to prove that vision loss is not a disability. One of our users, Bob, he says, with Aira, our time becomes our own. It's independence at a new level. Now, I do have myself a lot of my favorite stories, what our customers do and our users do. I will tell you or share with you a few of them. This is Melody. Melody is a blind mom, and she calls in and connects to our agent every night and reads bedtime stories to her child. Our agent is relaying the comics or any other books to Melody, and Melody is relaying that information back to the child, which is awesome. This particular user is very interesting. He is passionate about learning guitar. Now, the interesting thing, it turns out that we actually have a guitarist, Patrick. He's our agent. Now, he calls into our system, our agent, and agent is teaching how to play guitar for this person remotely, and he is located in Florida. This one, Greg is a recent dad, right? And he would, of course, all these people are, legally blind at some point. Greg is a recent dad, and he called into an agent to install baby-proofing locks for his entire kitchen. Of course, he feels proud about that. It's that. And the next one is also near and dear to my heart, which is Sergio. Sergio has a recent loss in his family, and he doesn't want to rely or bother anybody in his family to attend his father's funeral. So he calls in and experiences his entire father's funeral with our agent. And again, he did not bother his family member at all, and he did not miss anything. This is good. Now, switching back to the employment topic, Sheila, she was at a job fair. Somebody challenged him, how would you access some visual information or handwriting? She called in an agent, and she got a job literally on the spot. Now, finally, Eric Manser.
I have a degenerative eye disease called retinitis pigmentosa. I was diagnosed at age 5 and have been losing my vision steadily over many years. What I have remaining now I describe as if you were looking through a drinking straw that was covered with wax paper. I'm excited to be running in my 8th Boston Marathon. However, this year will be a little bit different. I'm actually going to be testing out a new technology that's very exciting called Aira.
Okay, you're approaching a larger pack in the middle here.
It is a glasses-mounted camera paired with a smartphone app. By activating the app, it connects me with a sighted human assistant that is located somewhere else in the world.
You've got a runner straight ahead.
And so there can be times where people are either inching their way in or aggressively cutting into my path. And with how much I see today, I don't know it until they're basically right in front of me.
Runner's on your right. Clear.
So one thing we're looking forward to trying out with Jessica is to have her pick up on when that's happening and say, okay, you've got someone, and so then I can be like blind athlete here or something to signal.
You're coming up on a water stop.
To push the limits of the technology is, in my mind, running a course like Boston, where it's such a crowded race, it's such a vibrant race, so much energy. I know it's a term that's kind of heavily used these days, but it's a game changer, I think.
Yeah, we are partners with AT&T. So who thought that that simple discussion or technology fun, when I was having discussion with Matt on his patio, would actually enable us to use augmented reality or artificial intelligence and bring the solution together and ultimately get somebody like Eric Mansell to the end of Boston Marathon. So that's what we do. That's what we do. We use technology to enhance human potential. Thank you.